I want to talk about a distinction real quick that I'd like to make between the Pixel 6 Pro and the iPhone 14 Pro, even the Pro Max. There have been some issues that have been happening with the 14 series phones since they've come out. And one of the most notable ones, there's been some really crazy janky stuff going on if you use third-party apps with the camera that it just like stutters and shakes all over the place. There's also been issues with battery life. There's been issues with some people have been talking about their phones shutting off and having to power them back on. There's been a lot of little things here and there. I think a little bit more uncharacteristic of an iOS update or new version update, really went to 16, than what you would normally expect. But one thing I will say though, iPhone, Apple, they've been pretty much Johnny on the spot getting them updated. Versus this guy, the Pixel 6 Pro, the Pixel 6 series, they have been plagued with issues from the get-go. But here's the thing. When it comes to Google, they have one or two problems and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's a disaster, it's a failure, the phone sucks, don't buy it, it's got all these problems, throw the baby out with the bathwater. And then you have Interstage, right? The iPhone, which nothing negative about either of these phones. I have both of them. I got both of them. I bought both of these phones. I like both. I prefer Android, but I test out and I use both of them. I respect both of the phones. When it comes to the 14, you see that it has a couple of problems, and immediately everyone's like, oh, it's going to get fixed. It's no big deal. It's not that big of a problem. We can deal with this. These are the workarounds. We're going to have an update coming next week. You know, all these things that say it's okay, there's no problem with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it couldn't be farther from the truth that there really is a double standard. Everybody knows there's a double standard. There's a double standard when it comes to Apple devices, and there's a double standard when it comes to Android. It doesn't matter if it's Samsung. Well, Samsung, they do get a little bit more street cred. If it's an LG phone, and this is one of the things that killed LG, as soon as the phones come out, there would be one little problem that might not even be a problem. It might just be, who knows, something that's easily fixable, easily not that big of a deal. And as soon as it would show up on the scene, you have all these guys saying, I told you so, same old LG, their phone sucks, don't buy it. And then they wonder why nobody buys them. They're gone. There's no more LG Mobile. Well, same thing with the OnePlus, same thing, especially with the Pixel phone. And I think the Pixel gets a bad rap more so because Google makes the phones and they also make Android. So you would expect it to be the best possible relationship between the hardware and the software. That's not always the case, and usually Samsung seems to do it better. I don't know why, but Samsung, they seem to do a pretty good job kind of dealing with the issues or not having as many issues as these guys. Because when it came to the Pixel 6, they would try to fix one thing, and they would fix one leak in the boat, and two more would pop up. It's like the little cartoon. You see the guy, and he's trying to fix all the holes in the boat with his fingers and sticking gum in them, and then it's just a losing battle. Well, that's kind of how it's felt with the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 series phone, but it's just a night and day difference. And I've been observing this, kind of watching in the background as you see what happens. And then it's, as soon as there is something, it's immediately everybody comes to its rescue. There's not a problem. There's no real issue. This is not that big of a deal. You're blowing it out of proportion. It's going to be fixed. Just so many different, it's like word soup that just comes along, alphabet soup they like to call it, with all the different excuses and people coming out of the woodwork. Now, there's a lot of Apple fans. There's a lot of Samsung fans. And of course, those are the two largest shares in the US whenever it comes to products. Those are most of the comments that I see. But it's just one of those things where maybe it's Android's fault. Maybe it's Google's fault. Maybe they don't pay enough people to make reviews that are positive. That's a joke. If you're a reviewer and you're watching this, you know. Anytime there's a problem, if you say anything negative about a Google phone, you're automatically paid by Apple to say bad things about it. And then if you say something bad about an Apple phone, obviously you're paid by Samsung or Google or somebody. You're always on somebody's payroll. And I think that's the most frustrating thing. You get people that come in and watch your videos, and if you say something positive, you're a sheep. If I came in and you said, oh my gosh, the iPhone, it's such a good phone, I love it, and you're automatically an iSheep. And if you say something good about Pixel, I still don't know that we definitely have a definitive group name yet. There is Team Pixel, but really I don't think Team Pixel is quite it, because Team Pixel, that's like the group of people that get sent the phones from Google. And that's kind of what they call people who are fans of them, I guess. But that's whenever the group starts it and they're handing out phones for Team Pixel to Team Pixel people, I don't really consider that the same if you said Team iPhone or Team Apple or Team Samsung. You're just not quite the same. I still like the Pixel Illuminati. I'm going to stick with that one. I promise you one day I'm going to get a shirt made. It's going to happen. We're going to get a Pixel Illuminati shirt. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. What do you think? Sound off in the comments if you think I should get one of those designed. The last time I brought it up, a lot of people were excited and thought it was a good idea. But it's just one of those things. And as a reviewer or as a fan of either one, you probably see it. You see it in the comments. You see it anytime they talk about something. It's always, well, Apple always gets a pass. And I actually put out a tweet about this the other day saying, if there's a problem with Apple, it's always somebody else's fault. It's the developer's fault. It's your fault. It's somebody else. It's never Apple's fault. Never, ever, ever. But if it's something to do with the Google phone or it's something to do with Samsung, it's Samsung's fault. It's immediately their fault. They got to own it, and you're a fanboy for trying to defend them. Now, I could care less whether we're talking about a Google phone or an iPhone. I'd just like to point out some of the inconsistencies here in the treatment and how the different phones are perceived, especially whenever there are issues. Because, Android 12, it had tons of problems. I've made so many videos talking about the issues ad nauseum and how to fix them and why Google hasn't fixed them quickly and why they don't communicate. And I will give Apple a lot of credit in this department. So when it comes to them, if there's an issue and it's identified clearly, usually very quickly they say, hey, we're going to fix this. There'll be a patch next week. Like, you really don't have to wait very long. So you might have to wait a month to get an update for a Pixel problem, whereas with the iPhone, typically you don't have to wait more than a week or two. So Apple is very responsive to that. Apple is very, very good about fixing their phones, updating them, making sure there's not any problems. But yeah, just something I wanted to make real quick. I wanted to talk about this. I'm not going to drag this one out, but just interesting to see. And I know you see it. I know a lot of folks watching this will go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like this phone, the Google Pixel 6, it needs to be crucified, buried in the ground. They should never make another phone. And then the iPhone, it's having issues, or it has issues with something, and it's not Apple's fault. You're holding it wrong. That's the old slogan, the old saying, you're holding it wrong anytime there's a problem wrong with the iPhone. So that's all I got. What do you think? Is this something that you see out in the real world? Is this something you see in the environment? Is it a frustrating point of contention with you? And do you think it's that big of a deal? I don't think it's that big of a deal from a marketing perspective. Usually the people that care about this, like me, are enthusiasts, people who care about the brands, people who care about the phones, people who like to look at things objectively and look at the treatment of things and see how they are, as opposed to just fixating on one thing like, oh, well, yep, those darn Pixel Illuminati folks, they're super mad that the phone it's having problems or whatever. So that's all I got. Gonna wrap this one up. You have any questions or you have any comments, and please go down in the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, if you like this stuff, if you like the comparison videos, if you like Pixel videos, of course, you're in the right place. And then, the Pixel 7 are right down the road, not too far from here. If you're watching this in the future, of course, it's already here. But very, very soon for those of you watching it right now as it's live. So that's all I got. As always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for taking your time to watch this video. Oh, yeah, and be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and all that jazz, because I forgot to say it a second ago. So that's all I got. See you later.